Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Just a few days ago, Whisky Advocate released their top 20 whiskeys of 2021, and this is a list that I look forward to every year for a few different reasons. Number one, just professional curiosity. What did they pick? What didn't I get a chance to try? And what might I want to pick up before it really gets sold out? So that's a big one. But I also use it to kind of influence the way that the channel is going, see maybe what they picked, try to figure out if there's any patterns there that I can build off of. But lastly, I like to do what probably a lot of you do, and I like to be kind of a armchair quarterback, and I like to just judge them, right? So, come on, guys. Bibb and Tucker in the top 20 list? Maybe not. But regardless, I do look at Whisky Advocate with some authority. I do think that they are generally very good, and I do go to them for some of my news source. So when they picked this as the number one choice, I told myself I'm going to pick that up if I see it. Problem is I haven't seen it in the wild in a while, so I wasn't super hopeful. Now, it just so happens like the day that this came out, or maybe the next day, I was on my way up to Maine to go to a wedding. And I stopped off at some random exit to pick up a Starbucks because I needed caffeine. And I noticed this really nice looking liquor store right next to the Starbucks. So I walked in and I wasn't really expecting too much, but they had a miraculous, just one of those locked safes, or the glass boxes that they have all the good stuff in. And a lot of times those things are picked over and it's like, oh, a Kentucky Owl. Nice. Good stuff, but not something rare enough to really be in there. But what they had were just tons and tons of whiskeys, and I was elated. But most of them were out of my price range, except for this, and another bottle that you'll see pretty soon. So I picked this up, and I got one of 5 that were left, and I paid $85 for it. MSRP is $80, so I didn't think that was too bad, and walked out feeling pretty good. So I finally got a chance to try it a couple days later, and we'll get into that in a minute. But let me tell you a little bit about this. The longest name ever is the Lagavulin Islay Single Malt Scotch Whisky, Offerman edition, finished in Guinness Casks Aged 11 years. That whole thing is its name.
Good. That whole thing's your name, huh?
Let me tell you a little bit about this whiskey. This is an 11-year-old Lagavulin, obviously, but then it's finished for 4 months in ex-Guinness casks that come from a brewery called the Baltimore Open Gate Brewery. Now, this brewery, they've got their own history, which I won't bother going too much into, except that they are located on the site of an old distillery. And this old distillery, you may have remembered it from my old Sagamore distillery videos, was called Calvert Distillery, and they are known for Lord Calvert whiskey. But anyway, they end up sending these barrels up to Scotland, and then that's where the Lagavulin is finished. All right, I've talked enough, and this thing is just like right in the wafting range, and I've been smelling this the whole time, and it smells great, so let's go ahead and get into the nosing and the tasting. All right. So it's Lagavulin. Let's get a couple of the easy things out of the way. It's going to smell a little smoky. It's going to smell salty, like sea salt air. But one thing I find interesting about this combination is if you've ever been in a sauna and put water on those hot rocks, and there's always this room of like hot cedar, and it's almost it's not smoky so much as it is steamy, but it's just a full nose of something. I don't know. There's something about that reminds me of this. Actually, as I'm saying that out loud, I'm not loving the idea of smelling hot salt and thinking about being in a steam room with other people. It's kind of gross. Let's move on from that one. It smells like the salt air of the ocean. Let's go back to that. Where this one is a bit unique, not unique among Lagavulins, but unique among peated, smoky whiskeys, is the citrus, right? This is pretty heavy on citrus. You're talking orange for sure, a little bit of lemon, but orange would be the one thing I would definitely pick out. It smells like if you were to express an orange over a cocktail, and just that aeration of the oils out of the citrus fruit, the rind of the orange. And it's got a nice base of just a vanilla honey kind of note. Now, one thing that it does say on the box here that I was reading earlier is chocolate. And I'm going to go ahead and disagree. Here's why. When people think of stouts, they think of chocolate. And that's fair. But mostly I feel like a lot of people think of chocolate when they see a stout because of the color. But I don't think that chocolate note specifically comes over into the nose of this whiskey. So although it's on the box and, they have a master distiller helping them to identify these things, for me personally, I'm not getting any chocolate. All right, let's go ahead and have a taste. Cheers. Sorry, that was an awkward thumbs up because I didn't want to knock this over. But this is very good. It's got, or it has, this interesting flavor immediately. First, let me talk about the mouthfeel. The mouthfeel on this is both creamy and oily at the same time, which is a really weird but awesome combination. It's actually making me kind of salivate just having this in my mouth. It's delicious. So the immediate taste that I'm getting kind of in my throat here is reminiscent of berries. Like, I'm trying to picture exactly which one I'm thinking of. It's not like a cherry or a strawberry, definitely something red, maybe like a cranberry sweetness or tartness to it. There's something very unexpected when you are immediately hit with a typical Lagavulin flavor, which is smoky, right? I feel like I'm exhaling smoke to a degree, not crazy like an Octomore, but it's there. But to taste red berries on my throat is very interesting. All right. Some of the other things I'm getting here, to a much lesser degree, although, actually, I'm going to back up for a sec. I find this very interesting. I don't get this in a lot of whiskeys. You know how you used to see the charts of the different areas of your tongue that could taste different things, and I'm fairly certain that was all BS. But either way, like, your tongue can taste, obviously, many different flavors. I am finding that every sip that I'm taking of this, depending on where it's hitting in my mouth, it's getting a different flavor. And that is definitely a thing that happens, but it doesn't happen a ton. And it certainly doesn't happen as I'm kind of formulating my opinion. It's usually when I'm like really spending time with a whiskey, which I did drink some of this the other night along with a friend, but we were not in a state to really be tasting it. We were just having it. So coffee grounds, almost like spent coffee grounds. If you were to empty the little tray with the paper thing, whatever you want to call it, the hopper, if you were to empty that and kind of smell, there's some of that going on in the taste. Interesting. That's just a little bit more nuance of a flavor than I typically would say, where I'd just be like, it smells like coffee beans or it tastes like coffee beans. In this case, it's really just spent coffee beans. All right. Additionally, there is a bit of a Heath toffee bar kind of thing going on here, but really the smoke is prevalent throughout all of this. So it's interesting. This is definitely a peat lover's whiskey, but it's also layered to the point where it's fun to explore. All right. So let's go ahead and just kind of give this an overall. I'm going to go in two different parts here. So my personal overall, if you can still find this for $85, given the 16 is about the same price, I think this one is unique enough in the range of Lagavulin that it is cool and you should buy it. So I'm going to give it my rating of buy it. Do I think this deserves the #1 spot on Whisky Advocate's list? That's a tough choice because I'm inclined to say no, only because although this is interesting, it's not new. It's been around since 2019. I feel like with the resources that Whisky Advocate has, I feel like their top 20 should be all new whiskeys, but maybe not. They have different parameters. I can't think of something that I would put ahead of this that I saw on their list that I've tried. So I guess it's kind of I don't have a good answer, but I do think that there must have been a stronger whiskey out there. Now, I haven't had it yet, and I know it rated pretty well in their list, but the Compass Box No Name 3, I hear amazing things about. And I would love to hear if any of you have a choice that you would put ahead of this on Whisky Advocates, or, on if you were making a list. And for those of you who have had Compass Box No Name 3, first off, I'm trying to find it. I can't find it. I can buy it, but it's going to take till March to get here. So I'm not really sure I'll bother. But I would love to know what you all think. So let me know in the comments, what was your top, say 3 whiskeys that you had this year? It can be anything. It doesn't have to be from 2021. I'm just curious what you are all drinking. So thank you, everybody, for joining me here on this episode of the Whiskey Dictionary. I hope you had a great time, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.